Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to One Hub Racing here for the pre-season round. A fantastic circuit. It is one of my favourites. Not on this game, but it is one of my favourites. It is, of course, the Japanese Grand Prix. We're here for pre-season. My name's, of course, Michael Edwards, going to be taking you through the action as always. And joined with me inside the commentary box is Lainey. How are you doing, Lainey?
Not too bad. I am excited for Suzuka today in One Hub Racing. I hope we get a good race.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Suzuka, the only figure of 8 circuit on the F1 calendar, and a track that has provided some very big moments in both league racing as well as real life Grand Prix in the past. So it's going to be very interesting. Of course, a lot of things have changed from one game cycle to the DLC, and it is one of those tracks where practice makes perfect and you need a rhythm.
100% Mike. I'm sure the drivers have been practicing Suzuka very much hardly because they need to make sure they're on pre-season pace. They need to make sure they can show their other rivals on track what they're best at. They will also be checking the strategy for today's race, which seems like a simple one-stop, but some other drivers might go two-stop.
Well, obviously here in One Hub, it is of course a mandatory 2-stop, so everyone will be doing at least a 2-stop in this race, so which opens up the strategy, I think, quite well. Do you go double mediums to the hards? Do you use the softs? Do you go the soft medium hards? Of course, being that it is the pre-season race, it is going to be a clear race, and let's have a little look at the drivers that are of course going to be competing here in P2 at the moment. Of course, we have the reigning P3 champion in Bonifish. He's made the jump up to P2 and he's going to be joined alongside Rydog, who of course one of his championship rivals, and of course they're going to be teammates with each other this year. Larkin and Miami pose a very strong partnership as well in that Mercedes. Mokri and Michael in the Red Bull. Chris and Rowe in the Scuderia Ferraris, Ortwan in the Williams, and of course we got Escargo and Stier in the RBs, Mantino in the Aston Martin, Seco also in the Haas, Adagio, another strong driver from P3 last season that is taking the step up, and he's going to be partnered with Jonas, a very strong partnership right there, I must say, with Nicholas in the Alpine, and then of course Reaper and Kieran going to be in the Cadillacs. Now, I'll be real, of course, there's some very interesting partnerships coming into this season. Of course, Larkin Miami, I think many people would put them down as the favourites, and honestly I would say so as well. Just due to the experience and the pace that they've shown in the past. But Chris and Rowe, a very strong partnership as well. Bonnie and Rydog, championship rivals in P3 last season, teammates this season. It is going to be very interesting, the dynamics between these teams so far.
Yeah, they look like exciting lineups. I'm excited for Aldi. You know, with some drivers coming up from our P3 tier, it'll be, obviously you don't know what they're going to be like in P2. So it's going to be exciting to see where they will place today in Suzuka and obviously throughout the rest of the season, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the Audi's Adagio, of course, was one of the championship protagonists in P3 last season, but unfortunately wasn't able to attend towards the end of the season, which of course meant that he was out of the running, leaving it a 2-horse race between Rydog and Bonifish. But before we head to the action on qualifying, let's have a quick look at the sponsorships here in One Hub. Of course, our title sponsor here at Delta.app. Of course, this is for over 18s only. All your investments in one app. Make smarter decisions like the world's top investors and track your journey to success with Delta. If you use the command !Delta in the Twitch chat, or click the link in the YouTube description, you'll be able to use it to track your investments. Of course, Next Level Racing, who sponsor the league by providing prizes each season, and of course there's some fantastic fantastic equipment that Next Level Racing do make. So make sure you guys go and check them out. Sim Racing Setups, they provide pro setup bundles for the DLC created by top esports drivers. They offer dry, intermediate and wet setups. Also, there's two types of dry setups, the safe setup as well as the esports setup. They also provide strategy tips and a track map on when to use ERS during qualifying. And it's absolutely fantastic. Fantastic service that Sim Racing Setups do deploy. Of course, Pure Sim Gear sponsor the league by providing some Sim Racing socks and gloves for the driver with the most combined fastest laps and pole positions over the course of the season. And of course, if you use the code OHR10P at checkout, you can get yourself 10% off. Of course, our partner in Vespertwin, who supports our official apparel and provides some great merch. And last but not least, of course, SimGrid, who without SimGrid, we would be using Google Forms to keep going through the championship standards, and Google Forms can be a bit of a pain to go through. But there we go, that is the sponsorships all out the way. The drivers are in qualifying right now, so I think there's nothing better to do but to head over to qualifying. What do you reckon?
Oh yeah, I think for the Twitch chat especially, instead of seeing our faces, it would be better to go on track. Right now, currently on board with the Ferrari of Rowe, seems to be the first one to take the Suzuka circuit in true light. They're looking to be burning a lot of battery though, coming from Spoon up till the final chicane. They seem to also just be, yeah, like I say, burn a lot of battery, but they do look quick. So we'll see what the Ferrari has in them as they burn all the battery coming through the final corner. It's a 1:29.5.
Absolutely fantastic. And Bonnie Fisher, the reigning P3 champion, going quicker with a 29.2, a fantastic lap from him. Rowe putting in a very competitive lap. SNK popping up into P3 with Michael there in P4. Scargo on a lap right now, and of course what we're seeing is a lot of drivers right now running out of ERS deployment as they approach 130R, which is not ideal because they're losing the speed on the run down to the Casio Triangle. But I'm sure the drivers are just testing where they can push the limits right now, as Scargo 29.9 up to P3 as he's immediately knocked down to P4, P5 by Chris and Stir going up to P2. What a lap from him.
That is a very good lap there. As you can see, within all the drivers, only 2 seconds gap between 11th and pole. So it'll be interesting to see. These are just banker laps. We're going to see what these guys in the midfield can do to try and steal pole position, which is currently held by Bonnie Fish. On board right now, I have Nicholas, who it looks to actually have some decent battery, but is using quite a bit going into my favourite corner on Suzuka, Spoon. It takes a lot of technicality. Let's see if Nicholas can get it right, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Throwing the car in, dropping it down into 5th on the entry, and then of course 4th on the exit. But that is not what you want to do. A snap at the rear there for Nicholas, and now he's just going to hemorrhage time all the way down to the Casio Triangle and the 13.6 middle sector split. Nicholas will know that there's definitely going to be a lot more time, especially on the exit of Spoon, as I believe we just had Jonas pop up there with a 39 flat, obviously not a representative time. Nicholas going ahead of him and Miami with a 31.1.
Yeah, even with the slide, that is still time to be improved there for Nicholas. He knows he's made a big mistake there throughout the Spoon corner, which I probably did a bit of commentator's curse on him because he seemed to flop it as soon as I handed over to you. As I now focus on the Williams of Atron, who looks to have he's probably on a double outlap here because he's got 100% battery ready to use for maybe a next lap as he's invalidated this one, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go on board with Ortron here for a full lap of Suzuka as we come down the start finish straight with the straight mode activated and overtake boost deployed, heading down in towards turn number 1, braking for turn number 2, getting the car turned in 4th gear, the gear of choice for Autoon there. Now into the S's through turns 3, 4, 5 as we climb up towards turn 6, and now turn 7 at the top of the hill at Dunlop curve, making sure you do not take too much of that inside curb and making sure you don't run too far wide. Now into the first of the Degners, throwing the car through in 7th, dropping down into 6th. Now the second Degner, important to get good traction and rotation through there, and it looks like Autoon has done just that. Into the hairpin, breaking down 2nd gear to get the car rotated and nice and smooth on the traction. And we're coming up now to your favourite corner on the circuit, of course, Spoon Curve. As you look at your braking around about the 50-meter board, as you break down into 5th and then carrying the speed through, dropping down into 4th, getting a nice run on the exit, and then it is nothing to do but put your foot to the floor all the way towards 130R, keeping the car flat through 130R, and of course dropping it down a gear due to the car obviously clipping as we head into the Casio Triangle now. Looking for a good exit. Very easy to light up the rears on the exit of the Casio Triangle, but through the final corner to the line, it's a 130.4 from Autoon.
Decent from Autoon there, really confident through 130R. As now, shall we take a focus on his Williams teammate, DRS Maestro? Oh, never mind, he's done a lap, P8, 130 dead.
Absolutely, I mean, we got Bonifish who has just started his next flying lap, as looks like he may have just clipped the track limits, unfortunately for him, as he's unfortunately been invalidated. But Bonnie will be looking to go again, as we got 9.5 minutes remaining in the session. Plenty of time to improve on that 29.2 for the McLaren.
Yeah, what he'll probably do is just take this as an extra out lap, get used to the circuit, get used to track limits mainly, and go again, try and improve on that provisional pole time. As we have the Audi, I think, going on for a lap, who's not done one yet. Going through 130R now, and down to the final corners, with still 40% battery left, which is very good for the Audi here. It's taking those chicane nice and tightly there, going to get on the throttle here. A bit of a slide there, but not too much. As they go, just 16th, 140, clearly not their best lap time, Mike.
Yeah, he's definitely made a mistake there as Adagio, but he saved up a bit of battery to try and go again, so we'll see what he's going to do. Of course, the issue is he started with around about 70% battery, so he's not going to have the... He's not going to have the luxury of a lot of the drivers, especially the drivers inside the top 8, in terms of having that battery usage available, especially on the run down to 130R. But he is a 10.5 up in Sector 1, and we should be seeing Adagio improve. I'm predicting maybe a high 130s for Adagio, considering the ERS limitations that he has.
Yeah, that's what he'll be aiming for, Mike, as the midfield has also done low 130s. If he can with that limited battery, a 129.9 would be a massive achievement for him, but it seems unrealistic considering the battery he started on. But he seems to be pushing every bit of that car, as AK Rowe goes for a 129.2, only 12 hundredths off over Bonnie Fish there. Bonnie Fish will be looking to take rentals on that. A 0 battery for the Audi of Adlio. He goes into the chicane now, which is a great place to lift and coast and get the battery back up, which he does. Now he activates boost and straight move across the line. He goes for 138, which probably not what he's hoping for, but the best he could do with limited battery, Mike.
Yeah, and honestly, I should be called Mystic Mike because I got that prediction spot on with a high 130s. Mystic Mike back in business, ladies and gentlemen, as we absolutely love to see it. Looking at who is on a flying lap right now, I believe Stir possibly is on a bit of an installation lap here, as we look for a hot lap, and I think Maestro is just crossing the line, goes ahead of Escargo, and Escargo about to get his lap underway. So we'll stay on board with Escargo here. As we got Josh in the chat saying Magic Mike. No, that's a very different mic. There's a very different mic right there. But Escargo gonna get his lap underway here.
Yeah, he'll be hoping for a good one here after just being overtaken by the DRS Maestro. You know, you'd hope that he would be very good with his DRS in the Williams, considering his name. But as we focus on Escargo here, coming through yet again one of my favourite sections here, Suzuka, the S's. Just nice and fluent on the steering wheel. Trying not to use too much battery because this is a place you can save amazing battery. Coming up to the more technical part, which is Sector 2. So we'll have to see what it does in that V-carb, or as also known as an RB, in that forward-powered engine. That is a tight corner and a brilliant entry and exit through there. Coming into the hairpin now, he is trying to get this nice and tight, and he does. He gets a decent exit out of there with plenty of battery to use, plenty of battery to spare. For the Spoon corner, my favourite corner, and maybe even Josh's too, considering he called him Magic Mike, you never know. As we come through Spoon curve here, is definitely a good curve for the first part. Second part, a bit wide, but it uses the battery to compensate here. Coming down to 130R, one of the fastest parts, and where Fernando Alonso, the little rookie, made a great overtake on Michael Schumacher. He takes that perfectly there. Escargo could absolutely be going up into the top 5 here with this lap. He's getting here now, going on the battery, now using the straight mode. It's going to be a 129.7.
Yeah.
7.
Not quite the top 5 for Escargo, but gained a good amount in that final sector there. He was a 10th.5 down in that middle sector split, so good improvements there for Escargo. You'll notice a bit more time there, maybe a possibility of getting into the top 5. But with 4.5 minutes remaining in the session, he needs to get back to the pits ASAP and then get himself back out on track. I'm currently on board with Ortron right now, coming through Spoon, but very wide on the exit and not ideal. I'm running incredibly low on the battery as well, so not going to be ideal. And you see there, he's down on his middle sector split, and I don't think we're going to see an improvement unless he can gain a good amount of time through the Casio triangle. So let's have a little look here. Throws the car in second gear, getting the car rotated on the exit now, and no, he bails out, comes into the pits. I think that was a smart decision.
Yeah, very smart decision for Atron there. He's down on his time, so he had to make sure to get back into the pit, so he had time to do another lap.
Comes Bonnie.
Yeah, Bonnie, there we go, 129.1, as I was about to say his name. But another driver I am worried about is Nicholas, you know. He's only a couple hundredths off the car in front, but I feel like he'd be wanting more, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for Nicholas and Mantino right now, big improvements have to be made on their final laps here. Of course, Nicholas, he's sticking it out. Personally, if I was Nicholas, I'd be in the pits and putting on a fresh set of softs to go to the end of the session, as we should be seeing everyone making their way into the pit lane who are out on track. But we do have a couple of people coming out on outlaps, and this could be important, getting the chance to set an installation lap before going on the final run. Could be beneficial for a couple of drivers, but for me, you want to be going as late as possible, in my opinion, but hopefully in a bit of clear air.
Yeah, that's what I'd be doing if I was on this session. I would be trying to get maybe around the 2-minute mark, just so I had time to warm up the tyres. But one person I am focusing on here is Steer. He's going for it, maybe, unless he's just doing 2 out laps to try and get to the line at the very latest he possibly can, while having the tyres ready to go.
And I've just seen Nicholas absolutely redefine the final chicane here at Suzuka, just carrying straight on across the gravel into the pits. And as someone that has had a little bit of experience lawn mowing on this track, the gravel is not a nice place to be. I can assure you of that.
Yeah, it's not great for the car, it's not great for your hands either if you're on wheel, as the wheel will just decide it's had enough of you going into that gravel trap. as everyone now just seems to be on outlap trying to get the gap. But one person who might not be on the outlap is Rydog. It's either got really good battery management or is waiting for the gap.
And we've just been informed in the chat, of course, the man in P3, his name is pronounced Strixia. Am I saying that right? I'm probably not. I am probably absolutely butchering it. But Strikia.
Yeah, that's a hard one to pronounce, Mike. I'm sorry, Strikia. We'll go with that, but it might not go for the flow with us. We might just end up calling you Stree, to be fair, because that might be a lot easier for our throats to handle. Strixer is apparently how we're pronouncing it, Mike, it seems, as we have been corrected here.
Yes, we got Jonas on a lap, but he's got a little bit of traffic, and that is not ideal for Jonas, as he has to. He's absolutely. He's put in the wall. A bit of frustration, I think, from Jonas right there, just being stuck behind the Aston Martin of Mantino coming through Spoon Curve. I did see in the first sector split he was up on his time, so Jonas definitely not going to be happy about that. Especially being in P6, and many drivers can still improve. Like this man I'm currently on board with, in Chris, coming down towards 130R right now, and he's a 10th up in his run.
Yeah, this is looking good for the Ferrari Chris, as he goes into the chicane now nice and tight, but hopefully not too tight. That might have been an invalidation, as he got lucky here to not invalidate that.
Stricter has gone on to provisional pole at 28.9. What a lap time there, and Rowe can't do anything about it. Bonnie is obviously out of the session. We got Escargot on a lap, but he's going to be one of the last ones to cross the line. Let's jump on board with Rydog, who's coming up to 130R right now, and I think, yeah, Rydog's completely backed out of this, I think. So we'll go back on board with the Red Bull of Mokri here, coming through the Casio triangle. Let's see what the Red Bull can do as we come to the line. Mokri currently P9. Does he improve? Yes, he does, up to P7.
Yeah, good lap from the Red Bull driver there. Very vital considering some of the drivers behind him have finished qualifying. That might be a very good place to start. Escargot also seems to be setting up a lap here of dreams, we hope, as he comes down to the chicane. Oh, that's a massive slide there. Let's hope that's not affecting him too much here. That is a Tokyo Drift if I've ever seen one, and the Tokyo Drifter, Escargot, goes into the pit lane.
Yeah, as DRS Maestro came through and popped up into P5 with a 29.4 right there. So a good lap time from him, and that is qualifying over and done with. Strixia up in pole position at 28.9, the only driver in the 128s, and he is around about a 10th and a half, just over a 10th and a half ahead of Boniface, who will join him on the front row. And speaking of row, we got row in P3 with SNK in P4, and we'll run you through the rest of the order in just a moment's time.
Yeah, it's a very close field actually there. Hopefully the viewers are entertained by that. I'll let you carry on running through.
Yeah, so we have Strixia in pole position ahead of Boniface, will join him on the front row with Rowe in P3, SNK in P4, Maestro in P5 with Chris in P6, Jonas P7, Mokri P8, Ortwan in P9, and Escargot rounding out the top 10. Outside of the top 10, we have Reaper, Michael, Miami, Rydog, Adagio, Mantino, and Nicholas going to be starting from the back of the field. And the top 11 separated by 8.5 tenths.
Yeah, very close, Mike. It should lead to a good race as they're going to prepare to reset the lobby and make sure the grid's correct, which does give an advantage to the drivers because it means fresh tyres, there's no parc ferme, so it leads to an advantage for them. What I did notice though in that qualifying session, plenty of invalidated laps and warnings for the drivers, so let's hope they keep those in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously when it comes to the qualifying situation, all the drivers pushing to the absolute limit. They're bound to overstep the boundaries of the track limits when pushing flat out. I have a feeling everyone will be a little bit more conservative when it comes to the track limits in the race. But I mean, you never know. Suzuka is just one of those circuits you can get caught out very easy. One
Yeah.
thing I would also like to obviously bring to the attention coming tonight is, of course, how in the P2 tier, as it currently stands, there are three former drivers champions in the P2 tier. Of course, Bonnie Fisher, of course, won the P3 championship last season. Larkin, who won the championship in season 19, and then of course Chris, who I believe won the championship obviously in the first 9 seasons of One Hub. Unfortunately, can't go back that far. But yeah, Chris also a drivers champion at that. So three former champions here in One Hub. Very, very. It's going to be very feisty, I think, between the three of them.
Oh, most definitely, Mike. I think we're going to have a tasty championship here. And this pre-season race, it's like your starter course at a restaurant. You'll see how you like the restaurant, and then we go on to the main event, which everyone loves because they have bigger portions. But yeah, we'll see how it works, I guess, within this pre-season. We'll see who's going to be battling up there for the front positions. And we'll see how well the champions handle the pressure of newer drivers coming in from P3, and we'll see how they handle each other mostly.
Yeah, we got new guard, old guard, and as Larkin put in the chat, super old guards. And of course, I think that is referring to not only himself but also to Chris as well, right there. But yeah, Strixia on provisional, on pole position for what should be a very interesting and intriguing race here around Suzuka. Honestly, after seeing what we saw in qualifying, who is your eyes on for the race?
Well, there's one obvious one, isn't there? There's the pole man, his name's going on real day. Strixer, obviously. He's going to be, I think, a race winner if he can get a decent start. I also have some hope for the midfield. For example, Jonas, who did get impeded in qualifying, he could be a surprise to get into the top 3 today, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Jonas, a driver with plenty of experience, and he knows how to battle through the midfield. He's been able to get some fantastic results coming from low on the grid and climbing his way up the order in the past. To me, I think Jonas is a driver to keep an eye on. That is for sure.
Oh yes, 100%. He's going to be a big surprise. Another one I'm interested in is obviously the guys who have come from P3. Speaking of Bonnie Fish, I feel like they are going to have a decent race, and also Ride Dog. So both the McLarens, I think, they might work together and just smash through the field. You never know with One Hub Racing.
Yeah, of course, Rydog, Bonnie, and Adagio, of course, three fantastic drivers. I had the privilege of racing with them last season. Very fierce competitors, all three of them. And it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt to life in the higher tier. I mean, as it currently stands, you got to say, Bonnie Fish is absolutely... he's jumped into the deep end and he's just naturally been able to swim immediately in terms of just being up there towards the front and just having that pace early on. It's going to be a big bonus. And of course, in the chat right now, Adagio saying that he crashed, unfortunately. And I mean, Adagio is I believe his game has crashed. Which is what he was on about.
I can sort that. I said we needed the turn to the right crash there. I'll see if I can sort that now.
Absolutely. We should be able to get you back in just a moment's time, Adagio. Ride Dog, obviously not feeling the cars and the setups, but it is going to be a long season. Of course, we don't know how things are going to shape up as of yet. It's going to be a very long season, and a lot of learning, I think, is going to be done by all the drivers across the grid. So we're all going to be in it together. So, Ride Dog, don't worry. It is the preseason race, and there will be a lot more action to come. That is for sure. I believe we are trying to get Adagio back in. Is Adagio back in yet? Yes, he is.
Oh, thank God. I was about to say, it won't let me invite in. I was getting scared I was doing my job wrong.
And also, you might want to go on to spectator.
Oh, yes, because I don't want to race on a mouse and keyboard today. No, thank you.
Yes, racing on a mouse and keyboard, definitely not ideal. Bonnie Fish in the chat saying early days, but we got this. Exactly. Bonnie knows it is early days. Of course, look at last season as an example, right, Doc? I mean, Bonnie Fish had a dominant start to the season, and over the course of the season, both yourself and Adagio were able to come back and battle for the championship. So anything can happen. You could have a pretty shaky start to the season, but by the end of the season, you could be flying high.
Yes, indeed. I tell you what, Bonnie Fish, so far you've took P2 like fish in water. You've just gone for it, and you're living up to your name, mate. So hopefully you can carry on for this rest of the season, like you say, early days, but you never know. What we also don't know is the positions for the end of the race, but as you are now known as Mystic Mike, have you got any Mystic predictions for us today?
Ooh, a little prediction. Okay, I mean, Joe, I'm going to go out on a limb by you. I'm going to go out on a limb and put my prediction out there. So for the race win, I am going to go with Bonnie for the race win. I'm going to go with Strictia in second place, and in third I'm going to go with a bit of an old guard in third place. I'm going to go with Chris.
Some interesting predictions there, as Ride Dog wants an ice cream. So do we all, mate. We're all absolutely sweating, even in the commentary box.
Yeah, I think my microphone picked up the ice cream van going for the street. Apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you're just making them jealous now, Mike. That is quite sad for the drivers, as they now have to sweat while racing Japan. But I have the DRS Maestro maybe going for a top 5 here.
Yeah, DRS Maestro had a fantastic end to the qualifying. He was able to hook up his final lap and get himself quite decently up the order. It's going to be interesting to see how some of these newer drivers do get on. Of course, I don't know anything when it comes to SNK, of course, to Ortwan, Strixia, obviously Maestro as well. These are new names that I'm going to get the privilege of learning about, which obviously it starts with learning how to pronounce the names correctly, and then it will end whether or not I become a fan of theirs for life, as we are awaiting the grid to be set. And while we await the grid, let me know in the chat, what is your predictions for the top 3 here in the preseason race?
Let's see if we have any outrageous predictions, we could say, or if they're going to go with maybe the more reputable drivers. You never know, because the obscure ones could end up finishing first.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Suzuka, one of those tracks that is just, it's about rhythm. It always has been about rhythm, and it always will be about rhythm. If you can get yourself hooked up on the track, it's it's a proper driver's circuit in my opinion. Like if you're hooked up with Suzuka, then you are in a state of pure bliss. But if you are not in the rhythm, it is so easy to have a nightmare race.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen in some other leagues during my time in league racing that there's been some absolute nightmares that have gone on at Suzuka, but there's also been some drivers in other leagues I've done have some absolute masterclasses around Suzuka, the making of some drivers. If we talk about real life, it is the maker of Fernando Alonso, you know, doing that 130R move around the champion and Michael Schumacher. That really put his name on the map, and it has happened with other drivers as well, both in real life and in the virtual world.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, for for that move that Fernando Alonso was able to do back then, of course, we're talking many years ago, over 20 years ago, to be exact. But the one thing, obviously, the big difference between now and then is 130R back then. You actually had to lift off through 130R. Now it's completely flat, which these drivers, I think there's definitely going to be some moves into 130R using their battery, trying to go for it around the outside, maybe get the inside line in 130R. I think we could be seeing some moves and some overtakes made frequently through 130R on the way to the Casio Triangle.
Yeah, definitely, Mike. If not, actually at Spoon, so then they can defend at 130R into the Casio Triangle. That's why I feel some moves have been made previously, and also in the hairpin before Spoon. So there's a couple of opportunities here for the drivers to get it done early, or to get it done really late.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Spoon and the hairpin, you can definitely catch some drivers napping into both of those corners. Obviously, using a bit of battery on the exit of the second deck now, you can definitely get a run going into the hairpin and catch someone napping by outbreaking them around the outside or having a little peek down the inside. Also, on top of that, you do have the run to Spoon, as you quite rightly mentioned, where if you just get good traction out of the hairpin, use a bit of that battery, you can really get yourself alongside going into Spoon. But let us hope that it doesn't end up the way it did for Sebastian Vettel in the Scuderia Ferrari days, where he went for a half spin by trying to commit to the inside, but just unable to get the car turned in enough on the inside and span off. I believe it was one of the Red Bulls, if my memory serves me correct.
It was indeed, Mike. I think it was a young Max Verstappen at the time. Which is interesting, but let's hope the Ferraris and Red Bulls do not have contact today and they can race peacefully. Let's hope for no incidents at all, actually, because we're just hoping for a clean race, especially for the stream, as the drivers will watch this back, and if they have an incident, they will be regretting it severely.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember as well, guys, there is more action to come here on One Hub Racing. After the P2 preseason race has concluded, Jess and Jamie will be taking you through the action in the P1 preseason race. So there's plenty more action to come on the One Hub Racing channel. Where is the accent of the commentators from? Well, I am from Wales, my friend.
Oh yeah, they've 100% got you as Welsh. I'm a bit of a mix of everything. Live in England, but I'm also Irish and Scottish, so I'm guessing it's just a Coventry accent. But so I've just got a mix of every accent, to be fair.
There you go. So we got a blend of everything, and we have Welsh. There you go. Hey, dude. As we await for those 5 red lights, obviously, Rydog in the chat saying one's Welsh, as for the other, I don't know. Yeah,
I'm just a genetic mystery. That's all I am. Genetic mystery, Rydog.
A mystery, and you know what else is going to be a mystery? Who is going to be winning this race? Now, looking at a couple of your predictions in the chat, Rydog said Bonnie, SNK, and Jonas, but we're going to go to those 5 red lights to guess underway here. 5 red lights are lit. And they are out, and we are underway here in Suzuka.
Yeah, decent start there. Actually, from I'm not even gonna Stry. We'll just call him Stry for now, as Boniface tries to go back around the outside here. Almost a very confident move. Tries to go for a strict back, but doesn't make it work. As Stride just carries on in that very beautiful V carb, I must say.
Yeah, absolutely. As the drivers all funnel through the S's up through Dunlop curve. It was 2x2 like Noah's Ark at the start of the S's, but not anymore, as everything has seemed to have sorted itself out now. Maestro up to P4. Good start from him, as we got one of the Audis, I believe, having a little peek. But look at that, as Chris and SNK having a little bit of a scrap at the hairpin, and SNK getting the move done on Chris, who will have to sit in behind. So the Ferrari getting caught napping, but the Cadillac right there. Jonas in behind, just watching and waiting for an opportunity. Closes right up through Spoon, and he's right underneath that Ferrari's rear wing midway through the corner. But is he going to be able to close up enough? He's using a bit of battery. He's gaining a bit, but doesn't look like he's going to be close enough to go for a move here.
I'll tell you what, I've just had the possible race strategies come up. They're saying soft, soft, medium, or soft, soft, hard. So do you want to be aggressive or do you want to be conservative? I can tell you what, Miami might be going the conservative route as they go up to P15 on those hard tyres, overtaking Michael in the Red Bull, who is on the medium tyre. But the medium and softs are looking very popular for the start.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the mediums being the most popular: Boniface, Rowe, SNK, Chris, Jonas, Mokri, Escargo, Rydog, and Michael. All on as Steer has gone off. Strixia has gone off, and he's down to P7. We didn't quite see what happened there. Hopefully no contact with Boniface, as they were very close with each other on track. But yeah, the pole sitter has dropped from the race lead down to P7 on those hards, and that is Mokri running deep. Reaper out of this race, and yellow flags are flying. I think possibly a virtual safety car. Yes, virtual safety car deployed.
Yeah, as I said, Suzuka can be an absolute mystery, and that has just turned out several events at once. With I'm just going to keep calling him Stride. With Stride losing his first place down to 7th there, but I think he'll make a recovery on those softs as Reaper. We don't know what happened to him. Might have been contact or might have just been error.
Well, I mean, it's so easy to lock up the tyres going into the hairpin, and obviously we saw Mokri run deep as well into the hairpin. So I can only assume maybe a little bit of a concertina effect went on there, as we got a couple of drivers into the pits taking advantage of the virtual safety car in Maestro, Chris, Escargo, Nicholas, and Miami.
Smart for Miami there to get off the hards, maybe save them for a bit later in the race. Or even just go on to another set as Mantinho gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding the pit lane, and Bonnie Fish drive-through penalty for speeding under the VRC. That's going to be a painful one to take.
Yeah, Boniface caught out by the virtual safety car restarting, gets himself a drive-through penalty as Mantino came into the pits, sped into the pits, and retired from the race. So maybe Mantino was caught up in the instant with Reaper from earlier on. Who knows right there? But yeah, Boniface, a big heartbreak for him. And now Rowe in prime position to take the race lead once Boniface comes into the pits.
Yeah, Boniface there will be fuming with himself. We always say be careful with the Delta, and he must have been right on the edge of the Delta, because as soon as safety car or VSC ended, it seemed like he just got it right at the end when it clicks over. So that is a shame for the McLaren. What is not a shame for us, though, is from second all the way down to fifth, it's still looking very tight.
Ortwan, they go down the inside into 130. I mentioned it earlier, and he's done exactly that, using his ERS going to the inside line for 130R, getting the move done. Bonnie into the pits, serving that drive-through penalty, and you got to wonder where he's going to come out to. He should come out ahead of Maestro here, but yeah, it's going to be a long race now for the McLaren. Meanwhile, the other McLaren has just been overtaken by the Williams.
Yeah, not a good luck for the McLarens there. One in the pits and one getting overtaken in one of the best corners in Formula 1 of 130R. But Rydog, it seems to be looking for revenge here on the Williams of Antoine. But behind him, he's also got pressure from the Audi of Andarigo and also the Red Bull of Michael. So we'll have to see, as these three-way battles are looking very tight, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got a top four battle going on between the Welshman of Rowe, SNK, Jonas, and Strictia up there in P4 on the soft tyres. Then we got a bit of a gap back to Moquis in almost a little bit of no man's land, but he's just been caught up by Ortron now in battle for P5. And now we got a train that is going down to Michael in P9. So P5 to P9, all within 1 second of each other.
Yeah, they'll all be looking to take advantage. Obviously, you get boost when you're within a second, but in front. Sorry, I've messed up my lines there. A second behind the car. There, so Atron, Rydog, all of them will be getting boost, and it'll be very close to see who's able to manage their boost as thoroughly as the rest of us. Rydog looks to be dropping out of the boost. He might have just got back in there.
Yeah, he's out of the 1 second window, but obviously using a bit of that battery to try and get back through. Of course, he is a little bit now off the back of Ortwan, who appears to have some great pace on those soft tyres. And the soft tyres seem to be working well so far for Ortwan and Strixia, who has managed to get himself, after that incident, we're not sure what happened, but get himself back into a fantastic position. Bonnie, obviously in no man's land after the drive-through penalty. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. He's going to have to get a little bit creative with the strategy, I think, to get himself back within this race.
Yeah, most definitely. Obviously,
Ooh.
McLaren seems to be decent with pit stops. Something seems to be happening, Mike.
Yeah, it is a battle from P3 last season that we saw many times before, and we're seeing it here in the P2 preseason race between Adagio and Rydog. And Adagio trying to put the pressure on the McLaren of Rydog into the hairpin. They were side by side momentarily, but Rydog came out on top.
Yeah, good from the McLaren there. Great defense, as I couldn't get there in time, but I heard your voice. I was like, I'm going to just let you thrill in this. But it seems like the Audi's trying to go for Rydog again through the triangle. Unfortunately, doesn't get there though. As we see, second place Cadillac SNK maybe trying to gain on Rowe here in the Ferrari, who's just seemed to take first place in stride with the unfortunate drive-through penalty at Bonnie.
Yeah, Rowe right now just doing enough as Ortwan's managed to get through on Mokri. Up in the P5 now goes the Williams. And on those soft tyres, he just has the pace at the moment. But how much longer are those soft tyres going to be in good nick? As you see, Strixer dropping away from those in the top three as the mediums become the better tyre to be on. And I think that is quite evident right now for the RB in P4 as SNK really putting the pressure on the rear of that Ferrari for the race lead here. He's getting very close to the back of him, but he's just not going for the move at this moment in time. In fact, he might look for it now on the inside of Spoon as a peak, and he's still on the inside now for the exit, the wheel to wheel, the Ferrari and the Cadillac, and now the Audi in the mix as well of Jonas. We're going to be on board with Jonas, having a little look at this as SNK cuts across Rowe to cover off the Ferrari. So we run down into the Casio triangle. Don't think Rowe's going to try and fight it, but he's going to try and outbrake, see if he can go around the outside. All Jonas has to do is get the run right now out of the Casio triangle, and he could maybe pick up a position here.
Yeah, tight battle between these three, and also this is good striker a chance to get back up with these top three. As we see some beautiful moves going on, SNK manages to defend from the Ferrari of Rowe, but for how much longer is he going to be able to withstand his pressure now being first place?
I tell you what, Jonas has got the best seat in the house for this, and he's just waiting for an opportunity. He's got 100% battery. Both SNK and Rose sitting on around 50% apiece. Jonas right now definitely in prime position to take control with the battery that he has available to him. And the more these two battle, obviously it opens the door for Jonas, but it also brings Strixia back into proceedings. And in fact, he's back within that 1 second again.
Yeah, Zionis just had a bit of a slide there, probably stopped him from getting the run of on road in the Ferrari. As he says, Strixer, I finally said his name right, Strixer, getting back into that 1 second there, but those tyres seem to be going lap by lap, and we'll probably see a pit stop soon from the ones on the soft tyres who haven't pit already.
Meanwhile, Rydog has been overtaken by Michael for P7, so Rydog he's falling back in this race a little bit. He's got his teammate who served a drive-through penalty 4 seconds behind him. As we got Mokri on the back of Ortwan here. As Rowe is into the pits, and so is Strixia.
That is a bit odd from the Ferrari. I thought those mediums would keep going as we have more battles going up and down the track.
It wasn't a battle. I was on board with Mokri looking at the back of Ortwan, and he just lit up the rear tyres coming through the exit of the Casio Triangle and had a big old snap right there.
I tell you what, I'm glad you're the streamer. You seem to be catching everything today, Mike. Maybe to do with that mystic memory of yours. As I'm currently on board with Jonas, who's probably wondering why some of his medium runners is pit, but I can sort of guess why. Probably because of the 2 mandatory pit stops we have in One Hub Racing. They're just trying to get onto the hard tyres and then maybe go for the softs again at the end of the race. As Jonas here, right on the back of SNK, maybe he'll try for the move with superior battery. SNK is burning going into Spoon here, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Jonas right now with around about 30% better battery available to him. Of course, he's not going to know that. All he's going to be able to focus on is just managing his race, closing in when he sees an opportunity to close in. But I think Jonas and SNK might have to respond to Rowe and Strixia, who of course came into the pits the lap before. Do they respond? SNK responds. Jonas stays out.
Yeah, they're probably trying to avoid being undercut here from the likes of Rowe. What I can tell you though is to give him Bonnyfish maybe a big chance. Obviously, he's just gone to the hards to try and make this comeback, to try and get back into those leading positions. But it's going to be a very difficult task for the McLaren driver. But he has in front of him his teammate Rydog, who could help, only being a couple attempts from the Audi there.
And Rowe gets the undercut there on SNK, who's opted for another set of soft tyres. As SNK immediately comes straight back past him with those soft tyres, as we had a very poor camera angle there from the broadcast cam. Unfortunately there, SNK gone for a double sets of the soft compound tyres, and Rowe on those hards completely outmatched. And now he's got Strixia in behind on those mediums.
Yeah, very interesting there for SNK to go onto the softs, but his idea is probably going onto the hards once those softs died at the end. As you right, Strixia though, right on the back of Rowe here with the medium tyres, which could most likely go to the end, but obviously he's got to make that extra pit stop to make it the 2 mandatory pit stops, as they're all looking very close here.
Yeah, and thank you in the chat to Reaper. I got Strixia and SNK confused for a second. He wasn't on a set of softs at the start of the race. He was on a set of mediums. I do apologise. Thank you for catching that, Reaper. Thank you very much. As SNK on those soft tyres trying to build a gap now. And I think if he can get past Maestro, who of course came into the pits early on, effectively the net race leader at the moment, as all these guys have made a pit stop. Michael, of course, into the pits as well. If SNK can get through on Maestro, he can build a gap, pull away, and then obviously he's got the ability to go for an undercut on these guys, because his tyres will fall off first.
Yeah, most definitely. But Maestro isn't letting them have it very easily, trying to keep that right now P2 that will turn eventually into P1. But as you can see, SNK going for the move down the inside. He just has a bigger speed advantage here as he gets the move done right before the hairpin as well. So he's done it nice and early, like I sort of predicted towards the start of the race.
Yeah, and now these guys in behind him, Rowe and Strixia, can't wait around anymore. They've got to get through on Maestro as soon as possible. Maestro on 7-lap old medium compound tyres. He's 5 lap older than Rowe and Strixia in behind, so he definitely is going to be lacking the grip. And for Rowe and Strixia, they need to make sure that they stay with SNK. They cannot afford to let him get away, and the getting away is exactly what he's doing as Jonas, the race leader, into the pits. And what is this going to be for the Audi? As Rowe looks to the outside line into the Casio triangle, tries to outbrake, goes clean around the outside and gets that move done. Another set of mediums there for Jonas as he's coming down the pit lane exit right now. Where is he going to be relative to this battle? Is he going to be in the middle? Is he going to be behind? Yeah, he's going to be behind it all. So Jonas staying out a couple of extra laps has cost him 2 positions when you think of Maestro and Strixia getting through.
I'll tell you what though, he does have the tyre advantage here. You know, 3 laps younger tyres than the cars ahead, and obviously Maestro's. He's got 8 laps difference there. But he's probably aiming to go on the softs towards the end of the race to try and maybe just be a speed demon in the last couple laps and get the overtakes done later on.
I went off of Strixia for 1 second because I saw Mokri getting onto the back of Antoine there, and as soon as I jump off, Strixia gets the move done on Maestro out of nowhere. Unfortunately, we wasn't able to catch up, but now Jonas is the next man to try and get the move done on Maestro. Maestro's tyres 8 laps older, and yeah, look at this. It's just absolute pure grip there for the Audi versus the Williams. Job done. Up in the P4 goes Jonas.
It's like a little boy versus a grown man, that was it. It's a bit of partial bullying there from Jonas. But I'm sure Maestro will maybe come into the pits now knowing he's lost his guys.
Strixia catching Rowe, napping through 130 on the run down to the Casio triangle and gets up into P2. Now, I'm sort of okay with this if I'm Rowe, because Strixia will have the better pace to maybe try and close up to SNK, but Rowe's having none of it. He's back down the inside in towards turn 1, coming through turn number 2. The Ferrari still on the inside, unable to carry the grip through turn 2 to get that move done. So he has to settle in behind. Meanwhile, yellow flags in the back. Not sure what's going on there, but Jonas all over the back of the Ferrari of Rowe. Remember, he is on the hard tyre, so he is on the slower compound out of all these guys in the top 5. You see a Maestro now drop away because he just does not have the grip advantage of what these guys do. As now Jonas sizing up a potential move perhaps. No, he's going to sit in behind. Maybe look for the better traction on the exit. And with the battery that he has available, maybe have a look into Spoon.
Yeah, he'll be looking for it, Mike. He'll absolutely be looking for it. He'll be desperate for it, in fact. We'll have to see if he gets the move done now.
Yeah, wasn't able to get done into Spoon. And I think now Rowe kind of has to apply the pressure onto Strixia here because he is getting pressurized by Jonas in behind.
Yeah, if you don't pressure the guy in front, you're just going to be overwhelmed by the guy in the back. So we'll have to see what happens between these 4 guys, or 3 guys trying to catch the leader of SNK here.
Yeah, absolutely. As SNK 2-second lead as Rowe gets through on Strixia and Jonas almost getting through. It seems every single time I go off board with him, a move happens. So it's a little bit of a bad omen for me at the moment in this battle. But yeah, Strixia overtaken by Rowe on the run down in towards turn 1. SNK 2 seconds up the road, and these guys need to start trying to close in on that Cadillac.
Yeah, if they keep battling the way they are, they're just going to lose at loads of time to SNK in front, who's on the softs and is still actually losing time to Row at the minute. Maybe the softs are starting to go again.
Yeah, potentially SNK starting to get reeled in slightly. And here comes Jonas now, looking to the inside line for Spoon. He's going to have to run. He'll have the inside line, and he's going to have it done before the turn in. So Jonas now up into P3. And now maybe an opportunity to get through on Row and go chasing after SNK.
He's the best man to do it, the freshest tyres to do it. Before SNK escapes into the pit lane, they'll want to gain as much time as possible on him. But Rose seems to not be wanting it, as Strixa tries to go for a move on Jonas, but unfortunately doesn't work, as now Jonas will want to pressure Rowe here to get out the way, and maybe they should work together as Michael gets past Nicholas, who's on 10 lap old hards.
Yeah, as Chris gets through on Escargo as well. Up in the P5 goes Chris Maestro into the pits. And honestly, it was to be expected. He was losing so much time off these guys. But on the set of the hards now, he can go to the end of the race. And he should have the grip all the way to the end of the race as well. So he should be okay from this point on.
Yeah, it's a bit... I'm not sure what to think about that strategy from Maestro, because it's a bit good, a bit bad. But we'll have to see how that race develops for him. What I am noticing is Bonnie Fish catching Nicholas now rapidly, trying to get into P10. And maybe he'll get the move done, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Bonnie Fish really closing up on the way up through Dunlop curve. Backs off a little bit into the Degnas. And now closing up, using a bit of that battery. And is he potentially sizing up and moving to the hip in? No, Nicholas making sure that he stays ahead there. In the chat, Lukey saying good racing with the top four. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of action going on in the top four. It seems every single time I try to go on to someone else, something happens. But this time, we're not going to miss anything here. Here comes Strixia back down the inside of Jonas as they wheel to wheel, side by side. Jonas losing out to the RB. But will he have him back on the run down towards turn number one? As the straight mode and overtake boost is deployed by Jonas and not able to get through, unfortunately for him. Escargo overtakes Chris, who comes into the pit lane.
Yeah, very tight action here. As said from the beautiful chat we have, the top four just racing absolutely brilliantly and showing high standards in Suzuka. As we'll see where Chris comes out, it seems to be a pretty low position, really low position.
Ooh, SNK has gone back to fourth. I'm not sure what's happened there for him. I'm having a little look to see maybe a puncher now, but I think he possibly clipped the curb through Dunlop, and he's absolutely just lost all speed and momentum, and he's just ghosted. And all three of Rowe, Strixia, and Jonas going straight through him. I think SNK's had a huge mistake there. He definitely needs to come into the pits this lap, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. You can just see on board with him, he seems to have no grip at all on those soft tyres. It must have been a massive mistake, because they were, what, a good 2 seconds back from him. Then all of a sudden, all three of them going through, as now Rowe knows he is in the lead. It's a big pressure for the Ferrari driver to keep both Schleicher and Jonas back.
Yeah, as Jonas closing right up to Strixia here as they run down. And yes, SNK into the pits as to be expected here as we run down into towards turn one. Side by side between Jonas and Strixia. And Jonas does back out. Does not want to risk his race by sending it on the inside. SNK into the pits and will, of course, drop down the order. It'll be interesting to see where Maestro is compared to SNK.
Yeah, considering Maestro stayed up for probably too long, as Nicholas also comes into pits. But it seems like SNK is going out P8, but Bonnie Fish is right on his tail here, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Bonnie Fish right on there, as I'm quickly going to bring up the stops so far so you guys can see. 2 stops have been made by SNK and Maestro. 2 stops by Chris and Nicholas. Everyone else has made 1 pit stop thus far in the race.
I'd say if they weren't going to softs, they're probably all going to be pitting around lap 24 to allow the softs to warm up and actually take advantage of the soft tyres.
I think lap 24 is a little bit late. If you're going onto a set of mediums, I think maybe in the next lap or two you're going to be jumping onto a set of mediums. If you're going softs, maybe around lap 20, 21 possibly. As you see, Strixie are really applying the pressure to Rowe in the battle for the race lead, and Jonas just gets a fantastic run out of the Casio triangle to close right up. And is this going to be a potential overtake here for Strixia around the outside into turn 1? And Rowe holds the inside line and holds on to P1. Gazaman in the chat saying, how's the race been? The race has been all out action at the top.
Yeah, most definitely all out. SNK making that mistake as more drivers come in for their second to follow the lead pit stops, and that is a reminder for the viewers as Bonnie Fish could drag Bonnie Fish up as Striker makes a mistake and Jonas goes through.
Sorry for that, guys. I missed that battle. I was looking at the Bonnie Fish SNK battle right there, and I think potentially a little bit of lag situation going on at the moment, unfortunately. But yeah, as you mentioned, Jonas getting through up into P3, wasn't able to catch it, but Jonas now in prime position to take the race lead here.
Yeah, Strong just went a bit too much on the curb, which allowed Jonas to go up the inside, and now he'll be trying to do the same to Rowe here, maybe on the straight going into turn 1.
SNK trying to make quick work of Michael there, down the inside into Spoon. Gets our move done, and Strixia into the pit, so as to be expected, as Bonnie's just going to sit in behind Michael for the moment. So Michael's going to try and outbreak SNK around the outside, and this is not what SNK needs. He does not need these guys really battling him like that, especially considering Michael's into the pits.
Yeah, he'll be losing major time to Strixia, as SNK will be absolutely fuming, but he actually still manages to get through, and so does Bonnie Fish.
Ooh, close right there, and Bonnie just does not have the grip to compete. But yeah, I think that battling that SNK's had to do with Bonnie and of course Michael has meant that he's not been able to make this undercut work as he would have wanted, and he's going to be under pressure immediately from Strixia.
Yeah, that's not good considering Strixia's tyres are 2 laps younger, and also he's on the faster tyre, which should last to the end of the race as he gets some moves done.
Very, very opportunistic and aggressive there from Strixia as he gets the move done on the inside into the second Degner. Very, very bold move. You don't see too many overtakes happen there.
Yeah, definitely not, Mike. There's a couple of weird moves that have happened tonight, but they've all been clean and they've all been good. So Sturts are not going to be so busy tonight, I think, especially as it's a pre-season race. But it's good standards as Rowe pits, and also Jonas is struggling on the fuel a little bit now.
Yeah, I think Jonas obviously underfueled the car from the start. But yeah, Rowe into the pits, of course, trying to respond to these two in Strixia and SNK battling tooth and nail. Jonas, of course, he pitted later than these guys for the first stop, and he's going longer on this second stop. So, I mean, it could be a smart call as SNK back through ahead of Strixia, and you see Rowe has come out ahead of him.
Yeah, Rowe will be happy about that, not losing time battling, just in the clean air, which allows those mediums to really get up to speed a bit quicker and also not have too much around us. As you said, Jonas pitted later than the rest of them. I predict he's going on to the softs at the end here.
It'll be very interesting to see. I think the longer he stays out, obviously, the more work he'll have to do come the end of the race. But if I was Jonas, I'd possibly be trying to make sure that I'm in and around this battle immediately.
Yeah, I'd be pitting this lap or maybe even next lap pushing it if I was him, as Rowe is gaining time on Antron, who is gaining time on Jonas as well, considering his tyres are absolutely dead, it would seem.
Yeah, I think this is the point where those hard tyres are coming into play for Ortwan. But SNK and Strixia about to do battle again on the run down to 130R. Strixia has to settle in behind and is not going to be close enough to go for the move into the Casio triangle. And Ortwan into the pits. As to be expected. See what tyres he goes on to. Bonniefish into the pits also.
They're just getting their mandatory 2 pits here, but it has left the top 4 with absolute clean air, trying to catch up to Jonas, but he's got a 20-second gap.
SNK. Oh, contact SNK and Strixia. Strixia looking for a very aggressive move on the entry into the S's, and contact made between the pair of them. They lose out quite considerably, and SNK with that 3-second time penalty. Heartbreak for him, and time lost for the pair of them. Jonas, if you're going to pit, I would say probably pit now at the end of this lap, because that might obviously put you ahead of SNK.
Yeah, I think SNK just caught too much curb there, which gave him the track limit for the 3-second, which then made Strickler and him make some contact, as I don't think Strongster was expecting SNK to go as wide as he did.
We're going to have to see what happens now. If I'm Jonas, I'm in the pits. And yes, Jonas is in. As to be expected, Jonas getting the car slowed down. No 10-second time penalty, so speeding for Jonas. Rowe will take the race lead, I think. As Jonas on the set of the soft tyres. So there we go. Lap 21, a set of the soft compound tyres has come out for the Audi, who's coming out of the pit lane right now. We should see Rowe take the race lead. SNK and Strixia battling out side by side, coming down the start finish straight. Where is Jonas? Jonas is out ahead of him.
Yeah, by a good 2 seconds as well. So now he's got that clean air to try and catch Rowe on those 2-lap-old mediums. I think it's going to be close between the two of them, as the tyres will degrade about the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we got Rydog in a bit of a pickle at the moment in P7. He's just been overtaken by Chris. He's got Escargot all over the rear of him as well. And I think Rydog still has to make his second pit stop. I will bring up the pit stops again in just a moment's time. We saw Steer go off as he has a look now around the outside at the hairpin. Very aggressive from Strixia as he tries to get this move done, and now he does get through on SNK, but for how long? Because SNK is coming straight back at him on the rundown in towards Spoon, and he's on the inside line. SNK not giving this up without a fight.
Yeah, great fighting between the two. I could tell you for pit stops, everyone has made their mandatory 2 apart from Rydog.
There we go. Rydog will have to drop down as we see Strixia again trying to force the move, trying it around the outside of 130, are unable to do so though. And now we go again down in towards turn number 1 between these two. They're getting their elbows out and I'm absolutely loving it.
So my Mike, it's been a great race between those two. I can tell you that now.
Meanwhile, in behind, you got Escargot looking around the outside of Chris for P6. And Chris holding the inside line. Bonniefish with the fastest lap of the race. He's currently down in P10. What could have been for him without the drive-through penalty under the virtual safety car earlier on? Because he was in a great position early on. He would have been right here in this fight for the race win. Jonas 1.5 seconds off the back of Rowe on those soft tyres versus the medium tyres. They got a 5-second gap to SNK and Strixia, who are doing battle once again into the hairpin. Strixia around the outside. Has he got the grip? Yes, he does. But does SNK come straight back at him into Spoon like we saw on the previous lap?
I think he does here as he goes up the inside into the Spoon curve and seems to get the move done on Strixia. What a move yet again from SNK, Mike.
Yeah, and all this battling, look who's just cruising up to the back of him, DRS Maestro. as Strixia again looks around the outside at 130R. And I don't think he's got the momentum to get that move done. But you see SNK flashing red momentarily, but he's not out of battery, and they're both going to go for it again down in towards turn number 1.
It's looking tight between the two, as it seems SNK has got the move done, but I'm sure the RB will be fighting straight back at him. As you mentioned,
A little bit of contact again.
Oh, and here comes DRS Maestro right on the back straightener now. He's in this battle. He's going to go and try and steal P3 from them both.
I mean, right now we can see that Strixia may have the pace to get through on SNK, but SNK's being very smart about his deployment, and he's just getting straight back through immediately, because here comes Strixia again around the outside at the hairpin, and we've seen this play out several times already. SNK will use his battery to come back in towards Spoon.
Yeah, and as you can see, these two battling, it's just costing them time.
And safety car, safety car, safety car.
Safety car. What has happened to Nicholas here?
Nicholas has gone off at the top of Dunlop curve. He's crashed out, and that has caused a full course safety car. Does anyone come into the pits for a fresh set of soft tyres?
Rydog will be absolutely fuming. He has just pit onto the softs, and now there's a safety car. He will be fuming. What I think happens is all the hard runners might come in for the soft tyres. I think Jonas stays out. Oh, never mind. He just proves me wrong there as Rose stays out. Oh, and Maestro has just hit SNK. That could be a 10-second. He might get away with it.
I think he has. It didn't pop up above SNK and Strixia. Both stay out. Jonas coming into the pits to put on a fresh set of soft tyres. Now, this is where things are going to get very, very spicy, because we've seen the battle in between these two for a second now. But Jonas on those fresh softs, he's not going to be waiting around. He's going to be trying to get a move done immediately. And Rowe has had it pretty easy, obviously, to everyone behind. He's just been able to stay out of the troubles. But now he's gotten back on his rear wing. The troubles could be there for Rowe as well come the end of this race.
Yeah, he's got to try and time this restart perfectly, because otherwise it could all go crashing down for him. And you know, this is really bad for SNK, because he's got that 3-second time penalty. Everyone's going to be within at least a second of him. He could fall down several positions here, because there'll probably be about 3 laps to go, maybe at maximum here.
Well, that is the penalty situation. SNK with 3 seconds, Escargo with 3 seconds, Michael with 3 seconds, and Adagio with 6 seconds. We've lost 3 drivers out of this race in Nicholas, Mantino, and Reaper. We've got a lot of soft tyres on for the tail end of the top 10. Escargo on fresh sauce, Maestro on fresh sauce, Chris on fresh sauce, Rydog on 2 lap old sauce, Michael on fresh sauce, Miami on fresh sauce, and Adagio on fresh sauce as well. Fresh sauce for Jonas in P4. Bonnie has been brought back into this race as well after the unfortunate drive-through penalty that he served early on in this race. He's currently P7, 4 lap old mediums. They did not think the fresh sauce would be worth it. We're going to have the safety car out for another lap, so maybe 2 laps of racing we're going to get here. It's going to be very interesting. Gaza in the chat saying such a late safety car. Yes, indeed. And saying that Jonas has been around here for years. Would be nice to see him win. Yeah, absolutely. Jonas has had fantastic pace in this race so far. And we're going to see if this bold strategy to jump onto the softs is going to pay off for him.
I think it just might, with all the cars ahead of him at least being 6 laps older tyres than Jonas has. It's the same really for all the soft runners. You know, Escar also got drivers with at maximum 8 laps older tyres than he does. The soft runners are probably going to benefit here, apart from maybe Rydog, which is a shame. His tyres might still be new enough to compete with these new soft tyre guys, but I'm not too sure.
Obviously, if there was more laps left in the race, I mean, Jonas would be a strong candidate to take the win. But with only, I'm assuming we're only going to get 2 racing laps left, it's all going to come down to time. And we've seen how aggressive Strixia has been on, obviously, trying to get overtakes done. And we've seen SNK's incredible strategy in terms of re-overtaking once being overtaken. Rowe, obviously, he's going to have to deal with Strixia at the restart. Jonas is just going to have to hope that his soft tyres do have the ability to just get him through and keep him out of trouble immediately.
Yeah, safety car is in this lap then, so we will get 2 laps of racing. As Jonas has a bit of a gap here. There you go, he's caught back up. But I feel like those soft tyres, he's going to maybe try and get SNK straight away with those hard tyres. Oh my god, Rowe's gone on.
Yeah, Rowe right there has just done a bit of a silly thing there. He's tried to warm up his tyres and he's got himself completely out of shape as we are back to green flag racing once again as Jonas immediately gets the move done on SNK. Lets him back through because he overtook him before the line. But Jonas now through up into P3 and immediately up into P2. Jonas there absolutely flying. Rowe, I think, might have wing damage as well from hitting the wall. And yes, he does. He's missing that front end plate. So that is going to pretty much make this a 2-horse race here, and it's going to cause carnage because everyone's going to be bunching up behind the car with the wing damage.
Yeah, I think Rowe actually hit Strongster right before, so I don't know, it could have been the wall, but it could have also been a hit off another car when he was rejoining back on with all that grass-ice tyres. As there's loads of moves getting done here in the midfield.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all absolute turn to carnage here in the midfield as the front wing damage for Rowe is playing havoc. Everyone's getting soaked up. Moves are being overtaken left, right and centre. We got Escargo and Ortwan side by side coming into Spoon. Escargo gets that move done. Chris up ahead of Mokri, who's falling through the field like a stone in water as we got Jonas now all over the back of Strixia. As we go on to the final lap, Bonniefish on the back of SNK. A great recovery for Bonnie thus far, but he's got Escargo and Fresh Sauce in behind him, who looks to the inside line at the Casio triangle, but does not get the move done. But he gets a tap from behind, and more contact there in the midfield as Chris drops down the order, spins around, heartbreak for Chris. Meanwhile, towards the front, Jonas down the inside, in towards turn 1. The job is done for Jonas, and now he needs to hope that his tyres have got the grip to pull him away from Strixia in this first sector.
SNK also finally gets round road, but so does Bonniefish straight away. It could be Bonniefish back on the podium here.
Bonniefish following SNK through. A little bit of contact between SNK and Rowe there, might add as well. But that wing damage really hurting the Ferrari here. And we're going to see potentially Maestro and Ortwan getting themselves through on Rowe before the end of this race. That is something I can definitely see happening. Jonas's soft tyres have really helped him massively at the end of this race. He's got away from Strixia now. Bonnie is on for a podium here after what was such a horrible start with that virtual safety car, giving him a drive-through penalty. But he may get the podium here on track. But this battle right now is going to be 3 wide, I think, on the run down into the Casio triangle. Bonniefish up into P3 as we go through 130R. Is it going to be 3 wide? No, but Maestro potentially could get this done. Coming through the final corner, Jonas crosses the line, takes the victory. Strixia in second place, Bonniefish in third, Rowe P4 ahead of Maestro in P5, Ortwan P6, Rydog P7, a good result there for him. SNK with our 3-second time penalty drops to P8, Mokri P9, Miami P10, Michael P11, Adagio P12, and Chris after the contact and spinning around, he's going to come through in P13. Unfortunately for him, He crosses the line, but it was great pace from Chris in that race there, so he's got nothing to feel bad about. He showed great pace, but just unfortunate the incident happened to him at the end of that race. But my oh my, carnage galore at the end of that race with the safety car and Rowe losing it on the on the restart, completely through the race, completely absolutely through the race in terms of his own result, but also it just threw the race into absolute disarray towards the end, with moves going on left, right and centre due to Rowe's wing damage, just causing everyone to be slowed down. But Jonas takes the race win ahead of Strixia in second place, Bonniefish completing the podium, Rowe in P4 with Maestro P5, Ortwan in P6, Rydog P7, SNK P8, Mokui P9, Miami rounding out the top 10. Then we got Michael in P11, Adagio P12, Chris, the last of the finishers, in 13th. Then our non-finishers were Escargo, Nicholas, Mantino and Reaper.
I'll tell you what, also, Bonniefish on the final lap did that move for the podium at 130R. It's a brilliant move from the McLaren.
Yeah, absolutely a brilliant move there. Rydog there, obviously, do you think P7 was a good result? Yeah, I think it was a great result, Rydog. It was a great result for you in that race. Bonnie saying GG, obviously, in the chat. But guys, more racing still to come here on One Hub, as we have P1 preseason race getting underway shortly. But before we pass you over to Jess and Jamie, we'll run through the sponsors and partners here at One Hub one more time. Of course, our title sponsor in Delta.app. Of course, Next Level Racing, Sim Racing Setups, Pure Sim Gear, Vespa Twin, and of course, Sim Grid. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back for round number 1, which of course will be the Belgian Grand Prix next week. But I've of course been Michael Edwards. Laney, appreciate you jumping in alongside with me this week. Hopefully we do get to commentate again in the future, as Joe will be back next week. But what were your thoughts on the preseason race before we wrap things up?
It was brilliant, chaotic. It's everything a commentator could ask for, to be honest. So yeah, a great standard for Belgium, and I hope to watch it with you guys and maybe commentate on P2 again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for watching us, and obviously viewing the race. We'll be back next week for the Belgian Grand Prix round number 1. But for now, it is goodbye from the pair of us, and we pass you over to Jess and Jamie for the P1 action. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen.